हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल।
हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा हरे राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai. Oh, glory to His divine grace. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Everybody. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
That means that whoever's not chanting, they don't get ice cream, right?
Yes, that's true.
Means
I don't know, when you chant. See, now you're not gonna get any ice cream. We're chanting all the time. You have to chant all the time to get the ice cream. We don't have any ice cream? No. We have. Well, don't give it all to Avi. He wasn't chanting all the time. Oh, okay, he was chanting. Okay. Harivilas. All right, well, thank you very much for inviting us to your house. And it gives us a chance to chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. It's a wonderful thing to chant Hare Krishna, because you come directly in contact with who? Krishna. So if we're always connected to Krishna, then we have nothing to worry about in life. But people are so confused that they don't believe that. Even some devotees don't believe that. But if you chant always Hare Krishna, then you'll be able to associate with Krishna every day, and Krishna promises that he will protect you. Kuntiya pratijanihi nami bhakta panasyati. Declare it boldly, Arjuna, that my devotee will never perish. We have to believe this, stay Krishna. If we serve Krishna, and the easiest way to serve Krishna, chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Now you're associating directly with Krishna. So there's nothing easier than that. I don't know. Is there anything easier than that? I don't think so. How to associate with God, people have to go through a lot of, the Christians have to go through a lot of problems to associate with God. The Muslims have to go through a lot of problems. But the devotees, they just chant Hare Krishna and dance and take nice prasadam, and they associate with Krishna all the time. Haribol, Haribol. Okay, let me have my book here. Okay, Bhagavad Gita, Granth Raj Ki Jai. And this verse today is from chapter 9, verse number 22. And you can repeat after me. Ananyas.
Ananyas.
Chintayanto.
Chintayanto. Mam.
Ye jana. Paryupasate.
Pariyupasate.
Tesam.
Tesham.
Nityabhiyuktana.
Nityabhiyukta.
Yogashamam.
Yogakshema.
Mahamyaham.
Mahamyaham.
Very nice poetry. And this is the 9th chapter, 22nd verse. Repeat after me. But those who always worship me.
Those who always worship me.
Meaning Krishna, of course. With exclusive devotion.
With exclusive devotion.
Meditating on my transcendental form.
Meditating on my transcendental form.
To them.
I
carry what they lack.
I carry what they lack.
And I preserve what
And I preserve what they have.
Purport by His divine grace is Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. One who is unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day. Being engaged in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshiping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Lord. Such activities are all auspicious and full of spiritual potency, which make the devotee perfect in self-realization, so that his only desire is to achieve the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee undoubtedly approaches the Lord without difficulty. This is called yoga, but by the mercy of the Lord, such a devotee never comes back to this material condition of life. Shema refers to the merciful protection of the Lord. The Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga. And when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to a miserable condition of life. Well, there's a lot of serious statements in this very short purport. And the takeaway is that when we are, let's say, chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And our only desire is to have the association of the Supreme Personality of God with Krishna. Such a devotee, then, undoubtedly approaches the Lord without difficulty. This is called yoga. Yoga means connecting to Krishna. That's the real meaning of yoga. By the mercy of the Lord, such a devotee never comes back to this material condition of life. That means you'll be liberated in this lifetime and you never come back. You will always be in Goloka Vrindavan with Krishna and all the liberated devotees. By the mercy of the Lord, such a devotee never comes back to this material condition of life. Shema means, Shema refers to the merciful protection. The Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga. Yoga means connecting to Krishna. That by chanting Hare Krishna, engaging in devotion, service, hearing about Krishna, and so forth. So it says, the Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga. And when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to a miserable condition of life. That means that several things happen. One thing is you no longer have this material life, a material miserable life. And Krishna will protect you so you don't fall down again to a material miserable life. So we should take this seriously. These are very important statements. Of course, Bhagavad Gita 9th chapter 22nd. And you can repeat after me. Ananya.
Nanya
Jitayanto.
Chintayanto
Ma.
Mam
Ye Jana.
Ye Jana
Pradyapasate.
Paryupasate
Tesa.
Tesham
Yabhyuktanam.
Nityabhiyuktanam
Yogashamam.
Yogakshemam
Anyam.
Vahamyaham.
Poetry. Beautiful verse. It's a verse that we should repeat it every day. This is one of those verses that if you simply know this one verse, you'll never be bereft of Krishna consciousness. And the translation is the following, and repeat it more. But those who always worship me,
Those who always worship me
exclusive devotion,
with exclusive devotion,
meditating on my transcendental form.
meditating on my transcendental form.
I carry what they lack,
I carry what they lack,
and I preserve what they have.
and I preserve what they have.
Oh, and that statement, I carry what they lack, have. That means, I mean, you can have a mundane translation of it. In other words, whatever material assets you have, Krishna will protect them. And whatever material assets you don't have, Krishna will give you. But that's not the real meaning. That's a very, let's say, very low level translation. When it says that Krishna says, I will carry what they lack. So if we lack good association, Krishna will put us into good association. If we lack the determination to be Krishna conscious, Krishna will help us develop that lack of determination to serve Krishna. And I preserve what they have. Well, whatever service you have done for Krishna, anytime you serve Krishna, it becomes an eternal asset. So there cannot be, you can never be a loser in Krishna consciousness. Whatever you do in this life, let's say you do 10% for Krishna, in your next lifetime, you start from 11%. You don't go back to zero. So that means that you can never be a loser in Krishna consciousness. You can always make spiritual advancement. And whatever advancement you make, it always stays as a permanent aspect in life after life. So we should not be, let's say, thinking, well, I'm going to have many lifetimes. No. If you take up Krishna consciousness very seriously, this could be your last lifetime in the world. And if you don't finish in this lifetime, everything you did for Krishna remains an asset. And in the next lifetime, you get a human body again, and you start from the point that you stopped in the previous life. So it's impossible to be a loser in Krishna consciousness. The way Krishna arranges things, it's to help his devotees come back to Godhead as fast and as soon as possible. He doesn't want his devotees to live in the material world. He wants them to come back to the spiritual. So we really don't want to go back to the spiritual world. Why? Because we're afraid there's no what you would call there's no nonsense in the spiritual world, such as always playing with your computer. You were playing.
No,
No.
I'll just take notes.
Oh, you were playing. Huh? Database. You are both.
We're the best to the rescue.
Well, the statement here, we should take them very seriously. That's why I say, one was unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness. Cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day. Being engaged in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshiping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Lord. Such activities are all auspicious and full of spiritual potency, which make the devotee perfect in self-realization, so that his only desire is to achieve the association of supreme personality of God. Such a devotee undoubtedly approaches the Lord without difficulty. This is called yoga. All right, now we know what the real definition of yoga is. It's being able to approach Krishna in these different ways. What are those ways? Well, all right. So, it's by engaging in devotional service, one, by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshiping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Lord. Such activities are all auspicious and full of spiritual potency, which make the devotee perfect in self-realization, so that his only desire is to achieve the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee undoubtedly approaches the Lord without difficulty. This is called yoga. By the mercy of the Lord, such a devotee never comes back to this material condition of life. Okay, so an example of that is Jesus Christ. He was told by Krishna that he would be crucified. And if you read the Bible, you see at first, Jesus did not want to be crucified. That means they nail you to this wooden cross, and then they basically torture you until you die. But uh, Krishna did not back down. And Jesus agreed to follow the instruction of Krishna. And because he did that, people are still talking about Jesus Christ today. There was a lot of prominent men in the time of Jesus Christ. No one talks about it. But they talk about Jesus because he became exemplary. Well, why was he exemplary? Because he had complete faith and love for God. Probably was the only person at that time that had so much faith and love in God, and he accepted to be crucified to help others to become Krishna conscious or Christian conscious. So at that time, killing was a normal thing. That's why the Ten Commandments said, "Thou shalt not kill." Means at the time that Jesus was present, killing was a very, let's say, prominent thing in the lives of people. So obviously, killing is still going on, but not as, let's say, intensely as in the time of Jesus. And what happened? They crucified Jesus, they killed Jesus. So we see it's difficult for people to give up sense gratification. As long as they're addicted to sense gratification, they're going to have a lot of trouble in life. Like, for example, there was a poor family, but they were very pious. And at one point, they were given, they had a neighbor who was very rich, but he was afraid of the dacoits, of the thieves. So he asked them to hold the money that he had. So if the thieves came, they would not find any money in his house, and they hopefully would not kill him. And everybody knew that this family that he gave the money to was a poor family. So when the rich man came and gave a lot of gold and necklaces and rings and things like that to this poor family to hold for him, when his wife found out, she became really scared. Why'd you do that? Why'd you let him give you all this? Well, I wanted to be a good neighbor. She said, what are you talking about? She said, as soon as the Dacoits find out that you have all the money, they'll come and kill us, steal the money. So she became so adamant that after a couple of days, the husband said, okay, I understand. So he went back and to the man that gave him all that money, and he said, please hold this. I don't know, one penny. Thank you very much, and please never try and give me anything again. Because when you have a lot of money, you're always worried about losing money. And when you don't have a lot of money, you're always worried about making money. So both ways, you're worried. Like, for example, if the thieves know that you have a lot of money in your house, you would be a target, right? They would come at night and break the window or something and try and steal everything you have. So, and when you don't have money, you're always worried, how am I going to pay? So, both ways, people are worried when they don't have faith in Krishna. But if you have faith in Krishna, whether you're poor or you're rich, Krishna promises to protect his devotee. So being a devotee is the best insurance policy you could ever have. But you have to act like a devotee. That means that if you have a lot of money, you should use it in Christian service. And if you don't have a lot of money, you should engage always in Christian service. And everyone should be Krishna conscious, always conscious of Krishna in your life. That way, Krishna will protect you. He promises that. So if we really want to have a happy life, the best way to do it is to be a Krishna conscious person. Always chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare.
always eating only prasadam. And again, Sankirtan, always distributing prasadam to all people and being engaged.
Hare Krishna, we lost you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Hare Krishna.
All right, we're going to give you a very loud Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Radhika the cow and Priya the cow, TJ. Boy, Priya is completely stomped out, sleeping. She's a good girl. You see, this is real life. Krishna himself was a coward. So you just imagine if you take care of cows, Krishna is on your side because he himself was a coward. That's why we have cows. That's why we bring cows to the programs and stuff. We have to see how associated with them. And they actually they like coming. They don't fight with you, do they? To stay, you know. Yeah, they enjoy coming to the program, hearing Hare Krishna, sleeping also. She's completely knocked out. Yeah. Priya's a very sweet cow, very, very sweet. And Radhika, of course, a wonderful cow. We're very fortunate to have them. All right, so the takeaway today from this verse, 9th chapter, 22nd verse, is the following. One who is unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day, being engaged in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshiping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Lord. If you should meditate on this today. And if you have your Bhagavad Gita, this is chapter 9, verse number 22. Just that statement that I just read now is full of nectarian knowledge. And if we can follow this, one who is unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day, being engaged in devotional service by hearing about Krishna, chanting Krishna's holy name, remembering Krishna, offering prayers to Krishna, worshiping Krishna, serving the lotus feet, or rendering other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Lord. Now, the surrendering fully to the Lord, the word surrendering is something that scares people sometimes. Because if you surrender to someone, that means that you might be taken advantage of by surrendering to someone. So you just can't surrender to anyone. But by surrendering to Krishna, you become an endearing devotee of Krishna, and Krishna will always protect you and help you in every way so that you can be successfully liberated from the cycle of birth. So surrendering to Krishna is the best way to be free. Surrendering to a bad person is the worst way to be exploited. So we have to decide who we want to surrender. Krishna consciousness is all about surrendering. The more we surrender to Krishna, the closer we come. And the closer Krishna protects us and instructs us and guides us so that in this lifetime, we can easily go back to the spiritual world. So we should surrender, but we have to surrender to the right person. So oftentimes people surrender to the wrong person. At one time, this lady was telling me, you know, when I got married, I thought my husband was Lord Ram. But after 3 months, I realized he was robbing up. Well, you don't want to consider it like that. We have to, and by the way, that's a very important statement she made. Who should we marry? That's a big decision we have to make in life. There's two big decisions. Who we should surrender to and become a devotee, and who we should marry. If you make a mistake on both of those decisions, your life will be miserable. But if you make the right decision on both of those possibilities, your life will be full of love and devotion. So we have to know who to surrender to. So here it says that one who's unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day, being engaged in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshiping, serving the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Lord. There was this one man, his name was Surendra, and the British made fun of him. They would say, "Oh, he surrenders not." Yeah, he was, let's say a revolutionary. So he surrenders not. Anyway, but we should not surrender to the wrong person, but we should surrender to the right person, and the right person is Krishna, because Krishna wants you to surrender to him. And then he guarantees that he will protect you, and it's only normal. Like, for example, when a child is born, let's say for the first 10 years, the child is protected by the parents. And he relies on that protection. And then with puberty, around 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, sometimes the so-called child becomes an adult and is not surrendered to their parents anymore. Now, there are different reasons why that can happen, but that's not the proper way to grow up. The proper way to grow up is to always have respect and devotion for Krishna. Then you'll also have respect and devotion for your parents throughout life. And therefore, the worst thing that can happen in the life of a parent is if their grown-up children more or less abandon them. Now, after bringing the child into the world, rearing the child, and making many sacrifices for the education of the child, etc., and then all of a sudden the child's not there anymore. So that's not good. We should not leave our parents, who are obviously they're good parents. They have sacrificed so many things. I remember one time when I was a very young boy, like 10, my father took me to see some relatives. And my father was something like, I mean, he was not a pure devotee, but he was something like a little bit of the leader in his, with his friends and his relatives and so forth. So we went to this house where my father was introducing a man who was going to marry the daughter of the family, the daughter in the family of the house. And he was trying to explain to them, I remember this happened a long, long time. I remember he was explaining to them what it means to be a parent. And he said, if the father and the son are in the desert, and both are very thirsty, and they come upon a glass of water, the father should give the glass to the son. And that doesn't sound like, something world shattering, but actually he meant it. He meant it that parents, usually real parents, they're going to sacrifice so many things to rear their children, to raise their children, right? And they put the welfare of their children before their own welfare. So this is actually something that is coming close to Krishna consciousness. It's not Krishna consciousness, it's coming close to it, right? What is it all about? It's about surrendering and sacrificing for for your child. So you can see Mother Yashoda, she went through a lot of tribulation to have Krishna as her son. She was always harassed by the demons, but she never gave up. She was completely surrendered to protecting Krishna, because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But this relationship that they had was very special. And that's the whole purpose of Damodar Ashtakam. We're hearing about the absolutely transcendental, amazing relationship of Mother Yashoda and her son Krishna. And for 1 month, we meditate on this very deeply spiritual relationship that they have. And that makes us a better father or a better mother if we do this, if we actually meditate this month on the relationship between Mother Yashoda and Krishna. She was ready to surrender, not surrender, but to do everything possible to serve Krishna. And Krishna was reciprocating with her. So that relationship, the love of a mother for her son, is something special. And during this whole period of Damodar, we meditate on that special relationship. And it's purifying. The love of a mother for her son, or a love of a mother for her daughter, it's very purifying. And it's a life basically of surrender and sacrifice. We surrender to Krishna and we sacrifice everything to help our children become protected and hopefully devotees. So Mother Yashoda, her activities, her love for Krishna, like, will make your heart melt. It's just so intensely loving. And we have to hear these things. When we hear the relationship between Mother Yashoda and Krishna, which is what we should be meditating on all months now, on the Damodar period, it'll purify us. That relationship is unparalleled in the history of the world. Unparalleled. Okay, so without this type of meditation, life becomes not only boring, but it becomes, as you might think, too arduous, too difficult to deal with. There's so many problems in the material world. But if we meditate on the relationship between Mother Yashoda and Krishna, they had problems also, right? Kamsa was always trying to kill Krishna, right? But he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? But even in his time, there were demons. In the spiritual world, there are also demons, but they're not physically there. They only hear about them. But in the material world, there are a lot of demons. So we have to deal with them. And how do we deal with them? It's not easy. There was this one lady, she lived alone. And she was a rather young lady, but I think she was divorced. So one day she went to shopping, and then she drove her car back, and then she got out of the car. She had packages of food and things. And she went to open the door of her apartment. And as soon as she started opening the door, this person who was wanted by the police and for murder, he saw her and he ran and grabbed her, pushed her into the house, and locked the door. And now he tied her up in a chair. So he was in a real tough spot. And he was a murderer. He had murdered several people. He had run away. And now he had her as a captive. And they were alone in the house. So, and it was like, I don't know, 9 o'clock at night or something. So obviously the lady was frightened out of her wits because the man was a murderer, right? Uh, so after an hour or two, she started talking with him, and just because they're together, right? And finally, around midnight, the lady said, "Look, I promise you, I won't do anything. Why don't you untie me and I'll cook you dinner?" I said, "You promise?" She said, "Yes." So I said, "Okay." He untied her, and she cooked dinner, and she made the table, and they sat down together. She even lighted a candle, and they had a very nice dinner. They had some nice discussion. This guy's a murderer. He had just killed several people, right? Uh, but she treated him so nice. At first, he wasn't trusting her so much, but then, she was so nice and treating him with such respect, and made a very nice dinner that, he felt good, that this is something. He's a fugitive. He's a murderer, right? But here's a lady that's treating him, with a lot of, you could even say, affection. So they stayed up most of the night talking, also after dinner. And at one point, the lady started saying to him, I said, "Look, I know you're in a lot of trouble, and why don't you just give yourself up to the gurus? But if you do it, I promise that I'll come every week and visit you in jail. And I'll bring you something nice to eat, and I'll be your friend." So, he had just run away from the police. He's wanted for murder. But he became so impressed by this lady who was treating him with respect like that. He finally agreed. So around uh, 12 o'clock the next day, she called the police and said, "Come, the fugitive you're looking for is in my house." And they came and they arrested this man. And the lady, for the next so many years, would visit him in jail, uh, bring something for him to eat, and was very, very kind to him. And in this way, he became very beholden to this lady who treated him in such a nice way. I mean, he could have killed her very easily if he wanted, but he was overwhelmed by her generosity and warmth that he agreed to not kill her and go back to jail. But now she was coming all the time to the jail and giving him some nice food, giving him different presents, and treating him in a very personal way. This is actually a true story. This actually happened. So sometimes we can be in a very dangerous situation, maybe. Not, it doesn't happen to everyone. But if we treat people, even though they're criminals or whatever, if we treat them with some respect and affection, sometimes they can be touched by it because they've had many bad experiences in their life. And there are many people like that. They have bad experiences in their life. They don't trust anyone. They're always suspicious of people because they've been abused or whatever. So it's difficult to find a very sincere person who will become your friend and someone that you can talk to, that can have trust. Then you become a person by such a relationship. You're not an animal like a criminal who's has no respect for life. So as devotees, we should be ready to help so many people in this world who are just waiting to meet someone like a devotee that they can talk to, have prasadam, have some spiritual instruction, and find a new path in their life. Very important to find that new path that's not leading to a dead end, leading to go back to Godhead. So we are the representatives of Krishna as a devotee. And our main vocation is to help people understand who Krishna is and to help them overcome all their miseries by teaching them to chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare
It's very important that they learn to chant Hare Krishna because now, by chanting, they will associate with Krishna. Krishna and his holy name are not different. It's not a mundane name. It's not a mundane vibration. The Hare Krishna Maha Mantras come down from the spiritual world in the material world as the Yuga Dharma, the recommended way in this age of Kali Yuga, by by uh, by the only way to actually make tangible spiritual advancement. In every period of time, like this Satya Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, Kali Yuga, there's a recommended way to attain liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Like in the first time, the Satya Yuga, it's meditation. But in Kali Yuga, it's chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So by becoming convinced that I should chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra every day with love and devotion for Krishna, I should offer my vegetarian food without onion and garlic to my little deities or the picture of Krishna and pray to the Lord, please accept this humble offering and please offer it back as your prasadam. Some people say, look, this is all hocus pocus, a very, let's say, type of illusory activity. It's not. If you sincerely make an offering to Krishna, he accepts the offering and then he offers it back. It's his prasadam. Now that's a supernatural product. It's not no longer something mundane. And by eating prasadam, many wonderful things happen in your life. So just like the story I said about that lady and the murderer, she was not a devotee, but she cooked a nice meal for the murderer. They had a nice discussion. He untied her. She cooked, and there was a little candle and some flowers, and they discussed things for many hours. And finally, she convinced him, "Look, you give up. You go back to jail. I promise you, I will come and see you once a week. I will bring you presents. I will bring you some food, and you will eventually, hopefully, you can get out of jail by a very good behavior." So she was not a devotee, but she was acting like a devotee, giving this man some food, treating him with respect, and being submissive, even though he was a murderer, right? He had murdered, I think, 2 or 3 people. So being able to talk to people in such a way that they feel, oh, this is a very good person. I should not be afraid of this person. He's a respectful person, and therefore uh, I feel blessed to meet a person like this. So this is what the devotees should be like this. When people meet the devotee, they should feel blessed. Oh, here's a person I can trust. Here's a person who, if they make a promise, they keep it. Here's a person who's always talking about God for Krishna and how to serve God and how to surrender to God and how to have a spiritual life. And in the company of many other devotees who are always chanting and dancing and feasting. That is what Krishna consciousness is all about. Chanting Hare Krishna, dancing for Krishna, and feasting for Krishna. That's what people do when they're happy. They chant, they dance, and they feast, right? Well, we don't eat turkeys on Thanksgiving, and we don't eat other, meats, different types of meats on that. And we don't celebrate Halloween also. Halloween is, if you read the history of how Halloween came about, it's all about demons, right? So it's not a real, that's why I started Krishnaween. And I got really, some of the senior devotees really got upset with me, I was teaching kids to celebrate Krishnaween. But that's because all the other kids are doing Halloween. So I thought, well, let's have Krishnaween. Instead of dressing like a demon, they can dress like Krishna. And instead of trick-or-treating with junk candy, they can give out prasadam. By the way, Halloween is when? It's right. Yeah. So you should all have goodness cookies to give to those little kids. Those are cookies that we make in the temple, and they've been offered to Krishna. So you should put your orders in now. That way, when the kids come and say trick or treat, you say okay, and give them the goodness cookies. And on the goodness cookies, there's philosophy with it too. You just like the Chinese, they have these right? Fortune cookies. We have our goodness cookie. That's philosophy with the cooking. Okay, I'm going to stop speaking now. If you have some questions, and it's important to ask a question. Because if you don't ask a question, you don't get any answers, and you don't learn anything. But if you ask questions, you might learn something new. So please think of some question, and you can ask me. And don't be afraid. There's no question that's not, let's say, bona fide. There are many questions that people have in life, and they may never have heard the proper answer to those questions. There's a chance. Are there any questions that anyone would like to ask? Raise your hand. And yes, Prabhu.
Maharaj,
You're one of the happiest persons. Those dance nicely. Dance. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
You mentioned the takeaway of the day is and live 24 hours by chanting, hearing, remembering.
Yes.
And in the next one was the cultivate friendship. Is that the cultivate friendship is the example which you gave for the murderer and the lady? Is
Yeah.
that cultivate friendship, is that example, is that fit with that example?
Yeah.
Is that how we supposed to live for the welfare of others and
Treat them with respect. Of course, we're feeding so many people the food truck, and we offer the prasadam to people with respect. If you don't offer it with respect, I've seen this happen sometimes. Devotees are looking down on the people that they're serving to, and people perceive it, and then they refuse the food because of the bad attitude of the devotees looking at them with a condescending attitude. So we should always offer prasadam with respect to, especially the homeless.
I remember an example, Maharaj, when we were in the Sankirtan theater, when we all went there, there was a Korean lady. I remember that example when we all were in the Sankirtan and there was a Korean lady And one of the devotee helped her to cross the street, and at that time, her statement was, you Krishna conscious people are the real people.
Yes. Yeah, those little gestures are noticed by people. And they'll never forget it. They'll never forget it. It's like in Berkeley, California, there was this man, he had a PhD. He lived across the street from the temple in Berkeley, California. And he hated the devotees. And he organized all neighborhood people to, complain to the, Berkeley police. And there was always problems. He would always be complaining, and he had a big group of people. He was like the leader of a lot of people, and they were all backing him up, trying to get rid of the temple in Berkeley. So as time went on, one day I was changing my rounds about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I was changing my rounds near the temple, and the man had parked his van on our side of the street. And when I was walking up and down, I kept passing by his van, and I noticed that his van was leaking gasoline. And I went, I touched it, and I smelled it, and it was gasoline. So, it's very dangerous, right? You put a match to that, it could blow up the whole van. So I went and I got dirt, and I put it there. And I think I put some, maybe some towels also, right? And then I went to knock on the door of the man who lived across the street from our company. And he was our enemy. I mean, he hated us. So I think I woke him up around 6:30 in the morning. And when he came, he didn't open the door. He opened the curtains in front of his door, and he looked at me, and he sort of shouted at me from the inside of the door. He said, "What do you want?" I said, your van. And then, what? I said, your van, come and take a look at it. There's a problem. So he opened the door. What did you say? I said, you have a problem with your van. Really? I said, yeah, why don't you come and I'll show you. So we walk across the street, and I show him that his van is leaking gasoline. And I had put some dirt there and a towel or something. He said, did you put that? He looked at me and said, thank you very much. Because you could have matched it, it could destroy his van. So from that point on, he became a friend. And uh, one day he came to the temple, where he lived across the street from the temple, knocked on the door, and asked for me. And I came, and I said, oh, because he was very antagonist for years. And I said, hello. I said, surprised to see you here. He said, no, I want to talk to you. I said, okay, how can I help you? He said, I'm going to be 50 years old in the next 3 weeks. And I want to celebrate my 50th anniversary in your temple. I said, yeah. I said, oh, that's wonderful. I said, and are you going to invite some people? He said, yeah, I'm going to invite all the people that hate you. And I'm the one that helped hate you. And I said, okay, that'll be great. I said, we'll have a big festival. And we'll have a lot of nice food. No, you don't have to do that. No, I said, we're going to do that. So it happened. About 40 people came who were all our enemies. They really wanted to get rid of us in the community, right? And at a certain point, he stood up and said, well, I want to say a few words. And then he explained what I did with, with his van and the gasoline and everything. And then he said, actually, he said, we've made a mistake. These are actually good people. And from that point on, all his animosity went away. And all the neighbors all suddenly became very friendly. Yes. And then as time went by, we had a stroke. And we would take Prashant to his house every day. And then I also had one of the ladies in the temple cook for him, clean his house, and then even drive him to, if you had to see a doctor or something. Right? And he really appreciated that because he lived alone. He was a PhD, he was a very highly educated man, but he never got married. And he was in his late 50s. Then he had the stroke, and he needed help. We helped him, and he never forgot. So there are many ways that we can change the attitude or the way people see us. They should see us as being good people, good neighbors, not a nuisance in the let's say the neighborhood, because we had a really bad reputation in Berkeley. But as time went on, after I became the president of Temple, it all changed because of the way we stopped disturbing the neighbors. And then this man, he was like the leader of all the enemies of the Hare Krishna. And he convinced them all that we're actually good people. And then we celebrated his 50th anniversary in the temple, inviting all the people that were our enemies. And he gave a big speech about how we're actually good people. And after that, everything was peaceful for us. We didn't have these people complaining to the police, writing petitions against us and so forth. Hare Krishna. So it's much easier to be good and generous and respectful. You can avoid a lot of problems, and especially if you have a temple in a neighborhood. So the temple in Berkeley is right in the neighborhood with a lot of people. And after that, we didn't have any problems anymore. Okay, are there any questions? Anyone would like to ask? Yes, you have a question. Yeah,
I actually.
yeah, I knew you had it.
So uh, we have of going down to our older relatives and grand.
Like your relative?
Yeah, so, I mean our family members, any elder people, right?
Yeah.
And so when you take the blessings at your feet, what should be what kind of blessings? I mean, is that still okay even in the temple to do that, or what are the etiquette to be followed? In the let's say in the altar in the temple, what are the etiquettes to be followed? So we of course bow down to Krishna, Prabhupada, and then what are the etiquette?
Normally, you don't bow down to any person in the temple in front of the deities.
Right. Mhm.
So now you're asking, what if we're not in the temple and we bow down to someone? Okay. You gonna give blessing or you want to take?
Okay.
Well, that's a sign of respect. But you do that for everybody, or you just do that for your parents?
Family.
Oh, you can't, yeah. Or if some very good devotee comes to your house.
That would,
So what do you want to know exactly?
should the kids follow that, like my, should it be a tradition that every day you should take Bhagwan to the elder after the thousand Krishna and then, my question, is that a good?
Yeah, that's what I thought your question. Well, you see, if you've been trained like that, and now you train your son to be like, or your daughter to be like that, right? Then it becomes something that is exceptionally good. And now, amongst the Punjabis nowadays, what they do is they just go like this. They don't actually bow down, but they just go like that as a sign of, respect for people. But devotees, they do it for yes. Yes,
Just wanted to confirm that.
yes. Any other questions? Any other comments? Any other confessions? No. Anybody?
And we can also take the goodness cookies orders.
Yeah, Halloween is coming. You should get your goodness cookie.
No, they're making extra.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so what Maharaj told people, kids come to your doorstep, they can never give goodness cookies. So you can place an order. You can place an order if you like to give the goodness cookies to the kids. Okay, Hare Krishna. 31st, yes, we still don't, we just only. So it takes time to make, so if you want to place order, please place quickly. Same as the, yes. Diwali is the same time as Halloween? Oh, big day. We should have plenty of goodness cookies because, by the way, how do kids know that they can come to your house and trick or treat? So you have to have a little sign saying that the children are welcome on Halloween. If everything is dark in front of your house, sometimes you're afraid to knock on the door. If you have some little sign, and inviting the people to come, bring their kids, and for them to. I mean, they usually think they're going to get candy, but no, they're going to get a goodness cookie. I mean, it's like the gold standard. Yeah. So every chance we have to give prasadam, we should take. You're gonna have a big chance on Halloween night, and you should have your, front of your house lit up, and you have maybe a little table in front of the door, with some cookies, put the cookies already. They understand, oh, these people, they want to be like some cookies on Halloween. If everything's dark, they don't know whether they should knock on your door. You have to light up your front of your house. The light up. And sign up. They are saying do not enter in the blood. Yeah.
the Halloween decoration. Yeah.
They don't want anybody knocking on the door. But you can, have a little sign here. Welcome, all children welcome to have nice cookies. Yes.
Right across the street from a neighbor's house, they have like little like ground of dirt like between their garage and the front door, and they put like hands coming out from the ground, bloody
Scare
hands.
you.
And then they have spider on the wall, very big spider. And they have these.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something interesting.
You see humans holding pumpkins.
The same day as Halloween this year, it's the same day there's, Diwali. So we're gonna be celebrating Diwali, they're gonna be celebrating Demon. Yes. I mean. Would you raise your hand?
So when if we're celebrating Diwali, how would celebrate while everybody else is doing Halloween? They'll get scared and run away while we're doing this function,
Okay. You have it like a table outside your door. You have a lot of cookies there, and you say, please take a cookie. A little sign. So they don't even have to knock on your door, they just come and take the cookie and leave.
Maybe you're not going to light your cracker clip. It's not probably approved anything.
Okay, any other questions? If not, then we'll go to the next part of the program.
Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Who is going to sing? Yes? Who's gonna lead all the group? You are? Yes. Vaishnavi.
right?